Hi, okay. Hi, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Hi, Jasmine.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so these questions. How are the elements of the plot important in these stories? How are they? Why is the plot important?
What?
I don't know why the plot's important.
Because that's the main event that happened in the story.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
The plot circles around everything.
Mm-hmm.
How
Okay,
does
so-
the exposition? Oh, go for it.
Yeah, the plot is it's important in the stories
Yeah.
because for my story, the cask, the entire story is set up to follow the plot diagram. So if you guys saw the plot quiz for today's
Yeah.
assignment, and you saw the diagram of how a plot should follow out, so the cask follows it like exactly how it should be set out. So it makes for a really good story. So you can see if you analyze the story of the cask, you can see exactly where the exposition is, the conflict is, the rising action,
And the falling
climax.
action.
Climax.
You can see,
Everything.
you can like pinpoint exactly where it is in the story. So that's why I think it's important, because that makes for a good story.
That's yeah.
And
Followed
that's
it
how
really
you get
good.
the main idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can see like where the climax
Guys,
is.
I don't really hear what you guys saying. It's kind of on and off.
Really? I can hear good. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Ah.
You
Hey,
good,
something wrong
Sadie?
with my Wi-Fi, so I can't really hear you guys.
Can you get out and find a good place?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Because we can hear you. Hurry up.
It's kind
Okay,
of
Jasmine,
when
next
you guys
question.
talk, it's like on and
Okay.
off, on and off.
Okay, we'll put in.
So the whole
Try to
time
follow.
I don't even know what you guys talking about.
Sadie,
Okay.
come to my room. Hurry
Yeah,
up.
run.
All right, so I have to run over there. What the heck? Hey, bye.
Run.
IT.
Okay.
Run, you only have a second to do that.
Whoa, wait. I can't even run. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, wait for me. I'm coming.
Okay.
Can we just talk about the summary of the stories while she's
Yes.
running here? So that we don't
Okay.
just have to
Go ahead.
Okay. So the lottery one is the one that I understand better.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the Hunger Games, because they all have like a drawing, like, and they have slips of paper that was really, like, they have slips of paper, and then they have, like, they all have to draw paper, and it's like families.
Yeah.
Oh
And then
yeah.
the families have to like grab a piece of paper, and then if you have a black dot, that means that it goes to another bowl of papers, and then your family has to pick from those papers, and that also has a black dot on one of the pieces of paper. And then this girl, her name's Tessie, I think. So Tessie picks the black dot, and so she has to get stoned to death.
So could you see
Oh,
the
she's
plot
here.
elements in the story?
Oh my goodness.
Good job, Sadie. The plot, like the story, I don't know if it really like.
Could you see the
Followed
elements?
it?
Could you,
Hey,
Kind
wait,
of.
could you guys kind
I
of
mean,
like
climax.
please? No, we were just summarizing the story while you run here.
Okay.
Now we can move
Just a
on to
little
the
bit
next
more.
question.
Yep, next
Okay.
question.
So the next question is, how
That's
does
the-
the exposition tell us, wait to tell us, or not tell us things about the characters to add about how we respond to the story?
Yeah, so I can start with the story of the cask. So Okay, so the exposition in the plot diagram is described as setting the tone of the story. It's kind of like the foundation of a story, and the exposition introduces the characters, and it kind of sets up a basic storyline. So in the cask, the first couple of paragraphs, it introduces the two characters. So the first one is Montreso, and the second one, his name is Fortunato. So Montreso is he's the main character, and he doesn't like Fortunato. So the exposition gives us a little bit of information about each of the characters, and also sets up a basic story. And the basic story is that Montreso wants revenge, and ultimately to kill Fortunato. So that's the exposition for us in the cast.
Oh. In the lottery, it kind of introduced like what drawing day was, and so that kind of introduced like the exposition, I guess. It didn't really explain it until you read more, but it introduced what it kind of was and what people thought of it. But I didn't know what was going to happen until the very end.
Yeah.
True.
So
Next question.
Sorry,
go ahead, Win.
in the lottery, does the start of the story, like, so exposition is to like expose the characters and expose the story. So does the start of the story does it set up the rest of the story?
So it kind of describes, kind of like it talks about drawing day, and it doesn't really talk about the feelings that people feel until you read more about it, but it talks about like people preparing it, and it talks about Tessie, the girl who got the card. It like she was really excited to like participate and stuff, but then once she, like, I don't know, everyone in the village is kind of like, oh, it's drawing day, like, yay, like, they're all like happy, not like happy, I guess, but here, Cairo. Oh, I'm so sorry. Wait, answer it. Cairo, answer it. Okay. And then, sorry. Yeah, so I don't know why she's like all excited, but she's like, oh, I'm really excited to like participate and stuff. But yeah, so it kind of lays it out, but she like kind of contradicts herself and contradicts her feelings.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So the next question is what?
Oh, sorry. The next question is, what is the major conflict in these stories, and how does it relate to the message? So what's the conflict, and how does that relate to the message?
Okay, so for the cask, the conflict is that Montreso doesn't like Fortunato. So a conflict, I guess the definition of conflict in the plot is what is the problem and how are they trying to solve it. That's what conflict is defined as in the plot diagram. So the problem that Montreso has is he doesn't like Fortunato and he wants to get revenge on him. And then how does he solve it? Well, the story explains like how he plots to get his revenge. He plots to kill him. And the overall message of the story is like a story of revenge, I think. It's a story of satisfying like jealousy. So that's how it relates, I think, to the entire story.
So Montresa killed Fortunato?
Yeah, so Montreso,
He perished my life.
Yeah, his entire plan is he wants revenge. That's his problem, and he solves it by trying to kill him. So that's the conflict of the story.
But what's the other conflict for the other one?
The other one, the conflict is that she picked the paper with the black dot on it, which means that she has to get killed.
Oh.
And then, so she was kind of like, the conflict was kind of building up when her husband, someone in her family got the black dot for their whole family. So each family picks a paper, and he picked the family from the family jar and got like the black paper. And so everyone in that family had to pick from the smaller one. And then so she's like, wait, like he didn't have long enough to pick which paper he wanted to pick. And so she was like kind of like struggling with that, but then she's finally like, okay, fine. And then she like picked a paper and it was like sad. So that was the conflict.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question, please.
Okay. When does the climax come? And how important is it to the story's message? The climax is super important. Do you guys remember? Climax.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. I think the climax is when.
Okay, so wait, what's the question again?
What is the climax, and how does that relate to the importance of the story?
Okay, so I'm gonna come in after. Yeah. So for what do you call it? The
The
cast.
cast.
Yeah. The climax is when Montreso takes Fortunato, he lures him into his house with the wine, and he brings him down his basement, and then he chains him up. This is like the climax because
Oh.
the whole message of the story is a story of revenge. And what the second that Montreso chains Fortunato up, he has all the power and the revenge is pretty much satisfied. So that's like the climax of the story is when he chains him up, because then he can do whatever he wants to him.
That's true. And all that suspense is kind of like built up when they're like kind of walking down the alley of his basement, and it's like all built. It's like building up. It's like, and then he finally gets to the end, and
Yep. Exactly.
yeah. I think the climax of this one I kind of explained before. When I don't know, it's very like the suspense builds up like a lot before the climax. So I think when everyone gets pieces of papers, they can't open it until like, so everyone in the village has to open it at the same time. So when they all open their paper, like it's like, oh my gosh, like, who has the black dot? And it's like, oh crazy.
Right.
Yeah, but then the climax is when she picked the Okay, so this next question is, wait, I don't know what the message of the stories would be. I guess it's like power for the first one.
The message of the story?
Yeah, what would the message be? Because it says how does the climax relate to the message? But I don't know the message. All I see is they end up dying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. And this is how is the conflict resolved or not resolved?
So I'll start again. So
Okay.
well, the conflict in the story is resolved because the conflict. What?
What?
Oh no, I just heard someone talking. Oh, sorry, never mind.
Oh, sorry.
The conflict of the story is he wants revenge. We discussed, like we said, he wants revenge on this guy. That's the problem, and he's trying to solve it. He's trying to get revenge on him somehow. So it's resolved because he gets him chained up.
Yeah.
The power is in his hands. The problem of his revenge is like satisfied once he gets him chained.
Yeah.
And it adds to the message of the story because the story's message is it's a story of revenge and power and like fulfilling jealousy. So
Yeah.
I would say that's how it adds to the story, and that's how the conflict is resolved when he gets him in chains.
Yeah. I don't really know if there's a conflict in the lottery. I don't know, because you don't really get the feelings of other people. Yeah, that was not very clear. I guess the conflict is that she's just defiant, kind of, and she doesn't think it's fair. She doesn't think the drawing is fair, so her feelings changed like really quick from when she was excited to go to the drawing and then she was late, and so she's like, oh my gosh, so she kind of stood out. So she kind of like stood out that she was the main character. And then the conflict was that I don't know how it was resolved. The resolve was that she ended up dying.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's the rest of the questions. Sadie and Julia, do you have anything
Yes.
to add? Do you want like with the message of the story, or about like the plot lineup? Yeah, find the plot thing or find it on the PowerPoint if you can.
I don't know. You guys already answered everything, so there's
Yeah.
nothing
I
to
think you
say
did.
about
Describe everything.
the what? The message.
No, just yeah.
Yeah, so there are kind of like, what's the message in the story?
Or how did you feel reading the story?
I guess like, you know, the story of you just means like, you know how the lady, wait, so the story is about the lady was like, they picked, like the family picked the paper and then the lady like wanted to pick it, okay? Is that the story?
Yeah, so the family picked it and then she had to pick from the family.
Oh, she has to pick for the family.
The husband picked for the family, and then the people in like the 5 people in the family had to pick from that. And she picked it, so she had to. Yeah. It was a crazy village, crazy stuff.
Interesting. I don't even know any message for that story.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a message to be learned from it. I guess, like, the old man thought that it was, like, barbaric if they didn't do it, so it was just seemed like a crazy story. I did not get it. And Edgar Allan Poe stories.
But so why they, like, what's the reason why they're picking that? Is it just for like making as a, like they're playing the village or what?
Lottery.
It was like a tradition in their village. I don't remember why.
Weird.
But then the people in like other villages stopped doing it, and then this old man Warner thought that it was dumb that they stopped doing it, and so he was like all for it, and I don't know why.
Oh, I think
Maybe it's something for the families to stand together.
yeah.
Maybe.
That's one of the messages. But I guess like, you know how the old man thing about like why they stopped that? Maybe one thing is like stop being selfish or just looking at himself and just to look over the whole village.
Yeah, he's crazy.
So I don't
Crazy
know.
old man.
Because like he think he's like, oh, it's great to keep continuing with that tradition, but like overall of it, the village kind of look on the other way. Like, you know.
Oh, yeah. So maybe like he's like a very old and he's like a very traditional man, but everyone like the other villages want to like
kind of seeing on
progress.
the other, So I think
because they don't have one.
He like wanted to go with that tradition, but like the other village see like the future or like stop doing that thing. It's kind of like killing people or I don't know.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's like Hunger Games. I don't know. It's really crazy.
I don't even know why they do that stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. The other Edgar Allan Poe story is messed up too.
Let's just say it's a village reunion.
Some village fun.
Collecting stones and
I
Have fun
know.
in the bit.
Yeah. Well, good stuff.
Yep, good discussion.
thank you, Revenge.
And we need to end because Willie needs to go and see his girlfriend. It's 10 o'clock and
All
he's in a
right.
hurry right now.
Good
Thank you
talk.
for coming. That's the end of our discussion.
And maybe we can do that story.
Okay.
All right.
Willie, don't
awesome
forget to
podcast.
submit.